to the additional extension of executive relief that I would provide. I think that the triggers, there were very good things in that bill, many of the aspects, but some of them that I think didn't make a lot of sense was the triggers. So I'm not a big fan of the trigger. It looked like some sort of cover that was part of a bipartisan compromise to give coverage, perhaps, it was thought, to Republican congresspeople in order to vote for it. And sometimes that's the nature of compromise. But I would, in my proposals, I don't have those triggers there. And I have put forward what Jorge Ramos called the most comprehensive and progressive immigration proposal of any candidate for president. But I did not have those triggers in my proposal.
One of the bad things was that there was a provision for a set aside of $25 billion to go into border enforcement. And there was a lot of concern from folks in this room and outside of the room that in essence, $25 billion investment in border enforcement really would have resulted in the all-out militarization of the border. So I'm curious to know what your thoughts are around that particular provision.
Yeah, I was reading that as I was flying into that. Our nation needs to do a much better job, especially within our own hemisphere, of identifying threats like failing nation states before they touch off a refugee crisis like the one we saw when Syria failed and we had this massive refugee crisis. It struck me in looking at that number that some of those dollars might be put to much better use by doing things that would actually work to reinforce rule of law and improve conditions in Central American countries, sustainable development, better options for young people. I mean, those are, so look, I understand we have a right and we should defend our borders, but we are not a fortress nation. And listening to some of the Republican candidates for president, you think they were auditioning for fencing contractor or something. Talking about these contrived ideas when you consider the fact that net immigration from Mexico is, I think, at about zero right now. So they're creating these fanciful images to address a problem that's not exactly there right now. I think some of those dollars would be much better used in sustainable development within our own hemisphere to reduce the impact of these drug gangs that oftentimes receive more in extortion payments. I mean, businesses pay more to a lot of the drug gangs. I learned in meeting with 25 mayors in El Salvador last year. They told me that 70% of their businesses pay more in extortion payments than they do to their own country in taxes to defend the rule of law. So I think some of those dollars would be better directed towards this. You okay back there?
Our next question comes from Ivania Castillo. Ivania, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ivania Castillo. I'm a voluntary from CASA in Action, and I represent more than 80,000 members from Maryland, Washington, D.C., and Virginia, and Pennsylvania. I came to this country in 1980 during the civil war in my country, El Salvador. My mom got kidnapped, and she decided to bring me and my three sisters to this country to save our lives and to have a better future. In 1986, I became a resident of this country. In 1997, I became a U.S. citizen. Like many immigrants in this country, I have worked very hard. My first job was breaking floor in a kitchen, breaking a construction kitchen floor. And I worked during the weekend, cleaning houses, cleaning office in the evening, and going to school during the daytime. last moments of their life. For more than 20 years, I've been working with the community, fighting for immigration reform, for the executive action, and for immigrants in this country. I want the president, the next president who sits in the White House to pass an immigration reform, because President Obama passed the executive order, and that will benefit my daughter-in-law who's an immigrant. She will benefit from DACA. She's the mother of my grandson Gianni. He's 2 years old, and we are afraid that she can be deported any moment. So we're hoping that you know that the next president will pass an immigration reform. I just want to say to you, sir, that you're gonna be, is Georgia candidate. And to all the candidates, not only to the Republicans, but to the Democrats, that it's very important that you think about more than 11 human beings in this country who are suffering every day of their life. They don't have a paper. So I'm asking for them to think about their future and all the suffering they're causing to our people. And I just want to say thank you very much. Thank you.
Governor, I think the question on the table here is, what would you do to pass comprehensive immigration reform, in particular to make sure that new American immigrants have access to the benefits? Yeah, I put out social benefits.
I'm waging this campaign. The beginning of it is actually this campaign. I believe that how you campaign determines how you govern. One can't claim to have a mandate for change if you're afraid to talk about the change you hope to implement while you're running. And so I put out 15 strategic goals to rebuild the truth of the American dream we share, so we get wages to go up again for everyone in our country. And one of those goals is to pass comprehensive immigration reform. It's not some little position paper that I did over here or that I rolled out at the annual meeting of CASA. It is something that I put front and center of 15 actions that we need to take as a people to get wages to go up. There are some others as well, raising the minimum wage, making it easier for people to join labor unions and bargain collectively for better wages, because that helps all of us. Cutting gun violence and deaths from guns in half in our country, eradicating childhood hunger. But the 15 of them together are a constellation of actions we can take that will actually make our country work better for all of us. So I intend to make the argument that immigration reform is not a constituency issue. It is not a sort of do a trick, get a cracker, or do a trick, get a vote sort of thing. It is in the best interest of us. U, period, S, period. The United States of America. I intend to, studies have said that the average wages for all Americans would go up by $250 a year simply by passing comprehensive immigration reform. And so I intend to put together the votes necessary to get this done.
Let me follow up on this point. So let's pretend it's January 2017, and I'm addressing you as President O'Malley. How are you going to bring the Republican House along with you to pass comprehensive immigration?
It's very interesting to me that even though you and I would probably agree that we won't be here forever, it's amazing how many Americans are ready to believe that this Republican Congress is going to be with us forever. And it won't be. The only thing inevitable in life, is change. So we've been through really divided and polarized times before. The question for us is, which of these three candidates in the Democratic Party is most likely to pull us through these divided times? Will we get through these divided times with the sort of old way of looking at immigration that says, as Senator Sanders has, that it's, immigrants hurt our wages? Will we get through it with the sort of triangulation and cautious approach of Secretary Clinton, who couldn't even allow her state to do driver's licenses when it was a political risk? Or will we get there with new leadership that's not part of that divided, polarized, ideological task? I've never said as an executive that all Republicans are my enemy. If I did, I wouldn't have gotten a lot of things done in Maryland that we got done. And that's what you learn as a mayor, as an executive. It's a different combination of votes all the time. It was a different combination. If it weren't for some Republican votes, we would not have been able to repeal the death penalty in Maryland. If it weren't for some Republican votes, we wouldn't have been able to pass marriage equality. So I intend to work at this, and I also intend to be a strong party leader, which means making sure that we don't allow our Democratic governors to get wiped out on the eve of redistricting, and then we get saddled with an unrepresented House of Representatives. So look, I don't have a crystal ball, but I do know this. As an executive, you have to call legislators all the time, and you have to do it on a full court press on every issue in order to have the votes you need when it comes down to the really, really tough issues.
Really quickly, let me ask you this. So you wouldn't, of course, call Republican chairman, but let's say Speaker Ryan Clark, she was in January 2017. Would you be willing to use executive authority to ensure that immigrants have access to social benefits, to health care, social security, et cetera?
Oh, yes. I mean, in fact, I put out a comprehensive immigration reform proposal 2 months ago. And in fact, in there, I committed to go much further than the president's gone with deferred action and DAPA, parents of U.S. citizens, parents of those who have applied. And so I intend to go to the full on executive action in order to cover as many individuals as I can as we work towards a full pathway to citizenship for all. To healthcare and allowing people, if they pay taxes and say they should be able to apply for the health benefits under the Affordable Care Act. Secretary Clinton disagrees with me on that. She disagreed with the debate the other night, and I might point out she won't be here with you today.
So we're going to continue on this theme of executive authority, and I'm going to pass the mic off to Gustavo Velasco from Nevada, who's going to ask you a question about executive authority and enforcement.
Hi, my name is Gustavo Velasco, and I am a DACA recipient. And I can tell you the big difference that has made in my life. I can now worry about looking over my shoulder when a cop comes around, or an immigration authority comes around. I came to the United States when I was 14 years old, from my mother Maria. We have been residing in the state of Nevada ever since we left Mexico, and I called Nevada home. My story is similar to those of any immigrant that just want to better the future and better the family's quality of life. I went to school and received an Associate of Culinary Arts from Truckee Meadows Community College. Now I could host a morning show called Buen Dia Reno, where I have a cooking segment. I love what I do. At a very young age, I learned the values of family and importance, and the ties that it has to my well-being and my mental well-being. It was very hard separating from my wonderful family in Mexico, to which I have not seen in 16 years. It's very hard. I love them dearly, and I miss them. I feel as though the distance from our relatives has put a tremendous burden on us, but we have done the best that we can to thrive in this beautiful country. My mom is not as fortunate as I am, because even though she pays taxes and is a wonderful woman that gives a lot to the community, she still lives in fear of getting deported. Doesn't feel safe. I don't feel safe. She'll get deported. She's at very high risk, and she qualifies for DAPA. I have a little young sister that is a U.S. citizen. However, DAPA has been put in the back burner and has been stuck in the courts. And therefore, my mom as well. And I don't think anybody of our moms deserves to be there. We have fought hard for policies like DACA and DAPA to keep the immigrant families together, and are very extremely disappointed to see that these measures are held up in the courts. If elected governor, how would you use your executive authority to make sure that every tool is at your disposal is used to keep the families like mine together? And I know you said that there's no room previously for incarceration of immigrants. So my question to this is, how will you deal with the aggressive enforcement leading to the detaining, incarcerating, and deporting of unprecedented numbers of immigrants. Thank you.
I believe that the president's executive authority, while it's challenged currently in the courts, is going to ultimately be upheld. I'm a lawyer by training, but I talk to a lot of lawyers as well. And I think if for some reason there's a holdup in it, and it requires that the rules be promulgated a second time, I intend to do that as president. Look, the executive authority is the prosecutorial authority. And I believe that we have to stop these sort of mindless deportations that are being done on a more massive scale than we've ever seen, and without a public safety purpose. And sometimes in these big organizations, one of the things you learn as a governor and a mayor is you can't always trust the information that you receive from your top cabinet members, because oftentimes by the time the information reaches them, it's no longer accurate compared to the ground truth on the ground. And I had the same experience with ICE as governor. We had a break with ICE. They assured us, we're not putting detainers into you at the Baltimore City Jail, which the state knows about, unless there's a clear public safety reason and imperative. Well, we looked at all the cases, and that just wasn't so. So we had to go a different direction and adopt, as many states and many cities have, our own criteria for those sorts of detainers. But I would like to believe that perhaps people thought that by being tough on deportations, it would bring Republican members of Congress to the table. If that were true, they would have come to the table 6 years ago. So we're as tough as you want us to be, and as mindless as you want us to be, and we break up as many families as you would like us to break up. There's a reason why you should deal reasonably with us. I don't think that argument's working very well. So I think we need to go in a different direction. I think it hurts the United States when we break up families. And that's true in whatever the context is. It hurts families. And to do so without any public safety reason whatsoever, I think hurts us. And is expensive. And it does not serve the best interest of the United States. So I intend to make the economic argument that this is good for comprehensive immigration reform is one of the main ways we get wages to go up again for all Americans. And that's the argument that I think ultimately wins. And in the meantime, I don't think we should be breaking up families. I think we're stronger as a country when we do the things that actually keep families together. Thank you.
Talking about broken promises, we have met with candidates in the past, and it's something that we have had actually working in our partners, many people in this room who have had loved ones who reported. And so my question to you is, if you were elected president, would you commit to making comprehensive immigration reform a priority during the first communication?
I've actually done it before that. I mean, there are not massive numbers of Latino votes to be had in Iowa or New Hampshire. And I talk about comprehensive immigration reform as something important for our country. Every day that I jump on the chair and give talks across Iowa or New Hampshire. And I will absolutely make it. And it is going to be one of the key actions that we need to take as a nation to get wages to go up rather than down. And look, I know the cynicism, I know the heartbreak, I know the sense that we have that the politicians didn't deliver when they said it in an election, they must not have meant it to be true. I understand all of that. And I plan to take action in the first 100 days that will be very strong and very affirmative. I plan to get into the bill introduced in the first 100 days. And I don't have a magic wand, nor do I have a crystal ball. But if you look at my history as Gustavo can vouch for, I am relentless. And I never give up. And many of the things that I'm able to point to is progressive results. I had to go back 2 or 3 times before we got there. But I don't give up. So, and my heart is, I have an immigrant's heart. I I understand the American immigrant experience. It's something very dear to me. And I think that if you look at, and so I will get it done. I am going to throw all my energy I possibly can into getting it done. And I don't say that with to say how difficult it is. And it may well be that we might have to keep working it until we get more reasonable Congress, until we get elect some more governors. And it could well be that after the next election, depending on the mandate, and depending on how it rolls, and depending on turnout, it could be that we have wind in our sails in the very opening days of the Congress. So look, if we all knew how this would turn out, it wouldn't be so exciting. We have to work with within this process. Democracy can be very frustrating, but it's the best form of government on the earth.
Thank you. We have one last question, and that is from Adonis Flores. Thank you, Adonis.
Good afternoon, Governor O'Malley. I am Adonis Flores, and I am also a DACA recipient. I am a young professional. I am a gay dreamer, and I am a student at Wayne State University, School of Business Administration. And like most immigrants, I have an entrepreneurial spirit. I aspire of creating new businesses in Detroit that will bring many new jobs to Michigan. And although I was born in Mexico, I have lived in Detroit since I was 8 years old. And I am very proud of the Motor City, and I am also very proud of being a new American immigrant. Like most immigrant families, my family is also a family with mixed immigration status. Some of us are undocumented, others are DACA recipients like myself, others legal permanent residents, and others are American citizens. Some by birth, and some new Americans, like my grandmother, who's 69 years old, and she just became a naturalized U.S. citizen, and will be voting for the first time in this election. Like every immigrant.
I'm sorry, before we clap for that, is she a Democrat?
She's very, very progressive.
Good, good.
Like every immigrant, I have experienced the barriers that our current immigration system is putting on new American immigrants, regardless of status or how long we've been living in the U.S. I have seen firsthand how these barriers keep immigrants in poverty and prevent us from starting new businesses and buying homes and making our economy grow. This is why I am very invested in efforts to pass an immigration reform bill that keeps families together and has a pathway to citizenship. But despite the latest racist attacks on immigrants and the Black Comprehensive Immigration Reform Bill, I have hope in the good hearts of the American people, and I also hope of one day going from becoming a new American immigrant to becoming a new American citizen. Due to these reasons, many immigrant families like us lived in impoverished communities like Flint, Detroit, Baltimore. And despite these challenges, we have great dreams of uplifting our communities from poverty.